Welcome to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. Today, we're going to be talking about women in education. And if you feel like you want to join in our discussion, please visit our website at www.ecdadventist.org and click on Women Engage. So I'll introduce our panelists today. I'll start with myself. And because we're talking about education, ladies, if you could just tell us your name and tell us what you studied. So I'll begin with myself. My name is Jocelyn Isabirye, and I am a very proud and honored teacher. I studied education.
My name is Debbie Maloba, and I'm professional on health.
I am Angela Wama. My area of specialization is information resources management.
I am Yetunde Odeyemi, and I studied geography, but I've been a teacher most of my life. I only stopped teaching in the classroom in 2005.
My name is Naita Buto. I studied medical lab technology.
And I'm Rispa Awor. I'm an educator, a trained teacher, taught throughout all the levels of education. And my area of specialization right now is educational research and evaluation.
Thank you. Welcome, ladies. Now, I think we can already see, just by introducing ourselves, that we are in the minority when we look at the statistics in terms of women in education on our continent. Not many of our, particularly our young children, are as privileged as we are to have received an education. I just got this statistics. It's from the UN Statistics Division, and it says 58 million children of primary school age are out of school worldwide, and more than half of these are girls, and nearly 3/4 live in sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia. That's a very sad statistic to think that the societies, the communities that we come from don't necessarily look like we do. So as we talk about women in education, what are the challenges of women in education on our continent today?
I would say that most women wait to be empowered. And the challenges that we have, sometimes we think, because we see it, that if you stay in school for a long time, you may not get a man to marry you. So we want to get married before we get educated. And some of us fall out of school before even the age of that marriage.
Rather than seeing education as a means to empowerment, we still have this thing that ties us back, that it's a man that empowers us.
Somebody
Yes.
outside of ourselves should empower us.
Should empower us. Okay? Yeah, that is a challenge. Any other challenges of women in education on our continent?
I think the value that in our continent here that we place on men has disadvantaged the women. Yeah, because the male child is seen as the one who needs to be educated, who needs to be empowered, and so for that reason, the woman is, or the girl child is given the less privilege. She's less privileged when it comes to education. So that is also a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, our culture is still strong in one or another way in some places where women or girls are not valued. Now, when you just look at it, women are not motivated. So they don't see why to go to school, while they don't have even means and ways to attend schools, because those who are in charge, responsible to send them to school, are not doing it. They are they are not able, but they don't want, according to the culture and the tradition in which we live.
So we still have a problem of access to education.
Access to education.
For women, for a wide number of reasons.
Yes.
But it could also be argued that there is evidence that as they move higher and higher, the boys continue, the girls drop out.
Yeah.
Whose problem is it? Is it because of the parenting, or is it because of the teacher in these lower classes? So the problem could be with the women, because if you go to those lower classes, the teachers are women themselves. So one wonders where the problem is. When we become teachers, especially women teachers, what do the girls in our classes see? What kind of hope, what kind of uplifting do we provide for these women? Are we models to them? One can wonder.
We've talked about a lack of access that many of our young girls have. Could the mother play a role there in encouraging her daughter to go to school? Is there a role that the woman can play at home?
You see, for me, education is, education should empower us. Besides empowering us, it should ennoble and refine us.
Yes.
Education is meant to make us better so that we can make others around us better, be it in our family, be it within our work and even our social lives. Yeah, so as a woman, I think we need to be role models to our daughters and any other girl that is looking up to us in terms of education. We need to make them better. Yes.
So we need to be good role models for our daughters, either by going to school ourselves. What if we didn't have the opportunity to go to school? How can we still be good role models for our daughter, for the woman in the village who didn't have the opportunity?
We can still encourage the girls. You know, I believe in the African context, it's not only the ones you have produced biologically that are your daughters. Like Knight said, there are girls looking up to you. If even you are in the village and you didn't get the opportunity of going to school, it still does not mean you cannot encourage children to go to school or the girl child to go to school. And I think the mother plays a huge role. Women have a role to play, and at times I get caught in between, because you find the women who would tell their boys, you are going to be the one to inherit your father's name, therefore you must be the medical doctor, and the daughter can just go to school and maybe it's okay. You know, like this, it's okay, it's okay. And I say it's not okay when we do not go the full length to give everybody the same opportunity. For me, it's about equity. And talk about women being role models. I think I was very fortunate in life to pass through the hands of a particular woman who was the school owner to the school which I attended in Lagos. It was a small school then. When I joined, we were only 3 in primary 4. Her daughter was the only one in standard 6. So we're just a small group. She had just come back from the UK. And guess what? She was driving a Morris Minor. That Morris Minor was a thrill to us children. We look at it and we say, one day I'm going to grow up and have a Morris Minor like Mrs. Sholaro. I'm sure she's dead by now, you know. And she used to dress neatly, impeccably neat. And so we look at her and we say, as girls, when I grow up, I want to dress like this woman. And so women can play a huge role in motivating children, especially girls, about going to school. But at times, I don't know where we get to miss it, because we tend to shift culture over and above equity, and then we say, yes, this boy is going to inherit his father's name. Let him be the medical doctor. Who says a girl cannot be an engineer? Who says a girl cannot be a medical doctor? If we put in a little bit of encouragement, we'll have them there. Yeah.
Another practical way of putting up some encouragement to our girl child is setting up a foundation for the girl child, you know, where money is put up and we are able to help in taking these children who are not fortunate like us to go to school.
Let me just ask you if we can look on, you know, the flip side of the coin. You know, we've talked about the cultural context of education and all of that. So does that mean that we cannot have culture and education coexist? So I cannot be an African woman within my culture and be educated at the same time?
There is no conflict, because a woman or a child who understands her background, who belongs to her culture, who has a sense of belonging in her home, who, when she goes to school, finds her space, is bound to be successful. A child who does not find her place, who does not know her culture, is more likely not to find herself and find her space. So the first thing that I believe is to make a child feel comfortable, a girl child feel comfortable in her own skin. And as much as we are speaking about mothers and people in the society, the majority of the people in the society who are modeled are teachers, because they are the people who work everywhere, not only in the cities.
It's true.
So a teacher has a lot of influence on the young people. And I believe that as teachers, if we show the concern and the nurture that students need, the learners need in school, our influence cannot be underestimated. Teaching is a calling. And when we take it as a calling, then the good comes out of it. The influence that we need in our classrooms are felt.
Yes.
The school feels our presence, and the society knows that there is a change that comes as a result of the presence of a teacher.
So
we have a lot of influence as educators.
Yes. So we as educators have a lot of influence. We'll just pause there for a moment as we take a break, but stay tuned. We will soon be back with real women talking about real issues. Welcome back to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. So today we're talking about women in education. And we've talked about how empowering education is for women. But let me ask, is there a danger to this empowerment? Is there another side to having women educated? Why is it that this cultural stigma of educated women remains? Does it come from some basis, maybe, of truth? Are we difficult women because we're educated?
We are not difficult, but the way people understand us is different. You find yourself, because you are educated in one part or one area, you are separated from your community. When you look at it, community is very strong. It's where you find your warmth of life. But when now you are educated and people are not ready to welcome you, you are separated, you are ignored, and even isolated. Whatever you do is not recognized. This is a danger. Instead of enjoying your education and even helping people to be satisfied of what you are going to give them as service, but now they deny you and they do not recognize you.
But don't you think that, okay, so you've said sometimes the society, we become detached from our society, but don't you think that sometimes that's our fault as educated people? And maybe I would say the fault is the type of education that we receive. Because as an educated person, why should my education separate me from my community? My education should instead enable me to be a better servant in my community. So is there a problem with the education that we're receiving if the fact that I am educated means that I am separated now and can no longer integrate with the community that I come from?
With our education, I think for women, we need to be humble. That is, first and foremost, we need to be humble, because there are some families with a history of educated ladies with up to the level of PhD, and then when it's time for that lady to prepare meal for the family, you know, when you go to the real village setting, you have the family together, and then you cook in one pot where you serve the whole family. So you find such women saying, oh, maybe the house help is the one who does the cooking, takes care of the house chores, rather than the lady herself. And so you find in such a family, you find the family saying, oh, no, we don't want our sons to go and marry women who are that educated, you know. So please go for see the ones who are not educated as humble. And then tag the educated ones, educated ladies, as arrogant.
So aside from being humble and arrogant, mostly in the African cultural context, the male as supposed to be more educated than, should I say supposed? Because, well, the male are perceived to be more educated than the ladies, yeah, than the girl child. So the girls, there's this ego that can come up, that this one is more educated, this lady is more educated than the rest of us, and it can create a problem because of the ego in the cultural context.
Yeah. So even if the woman herself hasn't done anything,
Yes,
because in that context they just
Yes.
feel, you know, how can she be more educated than me?
Exactly.
They just assume that you're going to be
Yes.
arrogant.
Yes.
But I think in the context of what you have, the question you
Yeah.
asked, in the context of your question, it's not about the ego. You are questioning what type of education is what brings out the character of the person.
Yes.
I do not want us to make an argument on whether Western education is suitable for us or not. No, because we need that knowledge to be able to fit into the global world. But there's also the education that helps you to fit in with human beings,
Yes.
with people. And that education is the one which you learn as you read in between the lines of the letters. And if a person does not have it, it's nothing to do with another person. It is that individual who is not able to see the context of what is being said. You know, if people reject a woman for being educated, I would say is in terms of the letters, that is the degrees. At times you get women who you are told you can't marry her because she's highly educated, you know. But that is in terms of the letters. But when you look at the character, there are women who are highly educated and they are very humble and they fit into the society, the community. If it comes to what Angela is saying, to say you cook in the open, over an open fire, it's done only once in a while. You go there, you cook, and you leave. But when such occasions come once in a blue moon, and we put up an attitude, an air of, oh, I can't get my fingers dirty, I have done this. You know, people will also distance themselves from you. So there's the education that brings in the letters and the degrees. There's the education for the character. And I think the education for the character is one where no girl, no boy should miss on having it, you know, because you miss it, it tells about the way your life is going to turn out and the way it's going to revolve as well. Yeah.
So the development of character becomes foremost.
Yes.
Yeah. But I still want to stick to that point because I still feel there's still something unfair here because a man who is educated, who sits in a special seat and chair, who does not sit with the uneducated men is not looked down on.
Yeah.
Instead, they come, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. So is it fair then that the woman who is educated has to behave as if she's uneducated? I feel that there's something wrong with maybe our education system, that instead of focusing on character and service, it focuses on what can I get because I have these letters after my name? How much prestige will I receive? How much money will I be able to earn? It's not about how will I serve my community. It's not about how will my education help me to develop as a person. Because if we all had that kind of education, men and women, you'd find that both the men and the women were able to fit into the society. But I think that there seems to be something unfair because a man who is educated is not treated like a man who is not educated, and everyone is okay with that.
Education is power. Education is power, whether it's for a man or for a woman. And an educated person should be beautiful. An educated woman should be beautiful. Beautiful means an educated woman should be resourceful and know how to use the resources around her to still maintain what is acceptable at the time when she lives. Because we live in a period of time with our education. We have to recognize as women, educated women, that we are living within a time period. And therefore we cannot afford to be foolish. We must be wise and we must be resourceful. If I'm supposed to cook, like Angela is saying, for a community, I will do it I don't have to cook what I don't know how to cook. Okay? I will cook everything that those people eat because I know the women in that village and they must be my friends.
Yes.
And they'll help me cook. And nobody will know. Right? Nobody will know that I didn't know how to cook what. What do you cook in Nigeria? That I don't know how to cook a big ugali because as I was going to school, I never had an opportunity to cook that big ugali.
Yes.
But there are women in that village who must be my friends.
Yes.
I have to be resourceful. Education is power.
Yes.
Education is envied. And when it is envied, it should not put me down.
Yes.
It makes me grow because I still have other things to learn as an educated woman.
Yeah.
You know, we are educated, but we have not reached yet.
Will we ever reach?
We haven't reached. There's still a lot to learn. Even those cooking, the things that the village want, if you don't know, you are still learning. Let them come and teach you, and as they are teaching you, you please this community. The men and women will be full and they'll sing your name and say it is good to have an educated woman in the village. Right?
Yeah.
But when an educated woman becomes competitive with the men in the village at a wrong time, at a wrong period, then we make other women lose chances to be educated.
What is the right time and the right period?
If in your generation, it is still a wrong time not to be able to cook, not to tell your husband that it is your turn to go to the kitchen, then don't do it. Right? Because it is like barring other people from taking more girls to school. The society may not be mature yet. You may disagree with me, but I'm telling you the most people who have problems are those who are competing with the men. They want to sit on high chairs because a man is sitting there.
Don't we have to compete though? Because they won't give it to us if we don't fight for it.
Why are you fighting?
Because they won't give it to me. I also want to sit in that nice chair. I've studied the same as you have. I may even have gotten better grades than you. But because I'm wearing a dress and you're wearing trousers, I don't get to sit in that chair. And if I wait for you to give me that chair and you won't give it to me, then maybe I have to fight for it.
When you fight for it, you become ugly.
So how do I get it?
You get it through example and humility.
Yes.
Because education humbles people.
Yes.
And you cannot move alone and get it. You have to have other people with you to be able to get it and still be comfortable. Because as you are fighting, who is hurting? Who is getting hurt?
Yes.
It's you.
Yes.
With your education, you are getting hurt. I
Yes.
can't afford that. I can't afford being hurt. And let me tell you, I went to school as a woman because I married after high school. And when I was supposed to be going to school, going back to college, people went to my father-in-law to say, why are you letting a woman who is already educated, because I had my A-level and I was a teacher, going to college again, what for? Those are voices that you hear.
Yes.
But do you know what you want? If you know what you want, you listen to what you want. And you know why you want it. The only first person to convince that this is going to be useful is your husband. After that, who else? You tell your children, baby, I'll be coming back. And when I come back, I will be earning a little bit more money. They are happy. And you go, right? You get that education, you come home, you are still the same woman, but more powerful, but you know how to handle that power.
Yes.
You have to know how to handle that power because education is power.
Yeah. I want to just say something here about Adventist education, really, because, maybe the biblical foundation for education. Because everything that we're saying, it seems to me, we really need to define what true education is. And it seems to me that education is more than the letters, like you were talking about. It's about development of character. It's about being able to fit into a society and know how to use that power with wisdom.
And the value.
Yes.
What is valuable? What
Yes.
is it that is valuable?
Yes.
Is it this letter that I'm bringing in or my family?
Yeah.
Where do you put your values after getting that degree that you went for?
Yes. And maybe I want to say something about education, for a parent that might be watching and, their child is in primary school and they're looking for a school. Many times we think about, where can I send my child where they are earning the top scores in the country? But we don't think about those kind of things. Where am I going to send my child where they learn character development, where they learn how to fit into a society, how to be humble, that just because you're educated does not mean that you're better than others. It just means you have more power and therefore you're able to do more to serve others. Do we really think about those things even as we're looking for education for our children? Or are we actually just thinking about where can they get the top scores to go to the best schools?
I look for both.
You look for both, yes.
I look for both, and
Yeah.
I say this because our schools, Adventist schools, should not be the tail. I look for both. And I believe that our schools can teach both character and value, and as well as the mental development, and be able to attain the top scores. We sometimes give parents a very hard choice because they look around and they don't see.
They
But
have to
time
choose
has
one
come,
or the other.
Or the others.
Yes.
Time has come when the choice should be easy.
Yes. Okay, so ladies, what is your final thought? If each of you could just tell me, what is your final thought on women in education?
Where there is no vision, people perish.
Yes.
As women, we need to have vision to educate our people so that they may come up with visions, and that knowledge they will have will help them to build a good nation, a good society.
It is important for the woman to be educated. It is very important for a lady to be educated because education plays a vital role in the life of a woman. That if a lady is educated, she can make informed decisions concerning her future and that of her children and also the society. So education is important in the life of a lady.
I think education is everything in terms of power, in terms of character building, in terms of learning to relate with people. And so if we get the opportunity as ladies to be educated, let us remember what Rispa said. It gives you power. You must know how to handle that power. Part of the education is knowing how to handle the power and how to fit into the society. You can't be educated and be unjust. Education calls for equity. We must know how to do that as well. Yeah.
My final thoughts on education is that education empowers, like all of us seem to suggest. Education ennobles, education refines. Let's get educated.
An educated woman is not timid. Think of the Samaritan woman with all that baggage that she had. When she had been at the foot of Jesus, she went into the village and called the others to come. And that is what should be happening in our schools. After you are educated, call others. Come and see my teacher who has shown me A, B, C, D.
Well, today we've been talking about women in education, and we've acknowledged that education is power, and women who are able to receive education have been given a gift. Let's use this gift. Use it to empower ourselves, to empower our communities, and to serve. And until next time, we hope that you will continue to engage with us on our website, that is www.ecdadventist.org, to discuss this and other issues. And we hope that you will be able to send in your comments, send in questions, and some of our panelists will be able to discuss with you online, and you can discuss with other women if you agree or disagree. Let's talk, because we are real women with real issues, and this is where women engage.